A game for you, lovely viewer. How important do you deem the superstar shake-up to be? Do you get excited? Do you start feeling it down in your loins when you know the brand split is about to happen? Do you tune into Raw and SmackDown thinking, oh my gosh, that guy could move here and this woman could move there? I can't wait. And genuinely, I want you to take a few seconds to think about it. I'm just going to stand here while you do that and work out what shirts I want to buy from Baby Gap next week. I think I'll go for extra small. Right, no matter what your answer is, WWE has just taken that and hurled it in the toilet because they've already screwed up the superstar shake-up. Why? Here's why. First and foremost, all of this seems nuts to me, and I just don't get it. For some reason, I am a big stickler for the superstar shake-up, even though when I take a step back and think about it, it doesn't really matter. For some reason, I like to pretend that it is important, probably, so that when the superstar shake-up does come round on both Raw and SmackDown, I can get excited about it and suspend my disbelief. Because never forget, that is what wrestling is all about. You're meant to suspend your disbelief, go off into the world of fiction, and leave reality behind. So whatever I can do to achieve that, even as I become an old man, that is what I'm gonna do. It's why I love pro wrestling. And while it irked me that we got all fruity with it before the actual draft itself, I let it go because I was like, look, I guess the big shows are coming up next week and that's where we're gonna cement who is on Raw and who is on SmackDown. I'm sure we'll get something from that. And we didn't really. I mean, both those episodes of both Raw and SmackDown were a little bit lackluster. Maybe that's on me, maybe I was expecting too much, but when all was said and done, I kind of felt, I don't really care about any of this. In fact, in many ways, it doesn't really feel like that much has changed. Like The Miz, I know The Miz went from Raw to SmackDown, the other way around, he went to SmackDown to Raw, but I was like, has anything changed? Is there any exciting new feuds for him? Not really, although we are going to get back to the A-lister later. And not only that, but we've ruined an NXT tag team in the process, and I know that everything's calmed down now, and that WWE's done what they should have done, and switched that name around, but that's like me saying sorry to you after I've punched you in the face. You may forgive me, but the bruise is going to last a little while. And so does the pain. What's even madder though is that before we even got to the next episode, and shout out to Dr. Dre, WWE had already undone all of their work and made some more moves. And this wasn't story-based, this wasn't narrative-based, this had nothing to do with what you were watching on the television. Some of the decisions that WWE had made had caused such a stir backstage, they took a few step backs and went, whoops, we need to redo what we've already done. What? So yes, that's right, just to reiterate, it wasn't done on storylines. A bunch of people in management all of a sudden noticed something that they could have noticed at the start of 2019 before we'd even thought about the superstar shakeup, and then afterwards decided, oh yeah, we should probably go and sort that out. Let's go through them, or at least the big change, because it does tie into Andrade, Zelina Vega, Aleister Black, and a bunch of others. So, as you probably now know, Andrade and Zelina Vega have gone back to SmackDown, and the reason why this has happened ties in to Charlotte Flair. Now, if you don't know, Charlotte Flair and Andrade are an item, they're having a relationship, and I guess Charlotte didn't like the fact that Andrade had been moved to Raw. So someone said, okay, well, we'll move Andrade back to SmackDown, but if we do that, Zelina Vega's got to go too, and that ties into Zelina Vega and Aleister Black, who, if you don't know, are married and going off this new keep the relationships and keep the wives and husbands and boyfriends and girlfriends and whatever together. They've all got to shift back to Tuesday nights. Breathe. And don't get me wrong, understandably, there was some sadness there, and really, WWE shouldn't have done this in the first place. If you are a professional wrestler, it's hard enough with all the travel. So if you are lucky enough to meet somebody you work with who not only A, you can ride with, but B, understands everything you're going through, I don't think it's very nice for a company to take a magical gun and just try and separate that. In fact, it's downright cruel. You're also less likely to get burned out if that happens, and if you don't get burned out, you're probably not going to want to leave the WWE. And the last why video we did was about why some stars do indeed want to leave WWE. So right now, in the present moment, that's the last thing you should be doing, powers that be. You should be trying to keep everybody happy and trying to keep everybody calm. And it's not like Andrade on Raw was about to explode into like the biggest star ever. So you can do that on SmackDown, you can do that on Raw. That's all on you, WWE, but for some reason you don't even put him on television. You can't unbalance the brands that much though, which is why Cesaro then got moved to Monday nights. But that makes no sense because he got moved without Sheamus. Now, apparently Sheamus may be really injured and may be forced to retire, but I just hope that's a bunch of wrestling rumors with no weight to them. But within the fictional world of WWE, why isn't Cesaro talking about this? He didn't talk about it last week. He didn't talk about it during his match with Cedric Alexander. For no reason, in terms of the entertainment portion of the show, did he even say he wanted to be a singles star. Now, look, he had a match and it was really good, and it was really nice to see Cesaro get a singles win on WWE's biggest show, but was it ever explained to me? No. So all it did was take the Superstar shakeup and break it down some more. It's like a crap wall. Also, originally they did all this with all the prior knowledge. They knew that Andrade and Charlotte were a thing. So what did they expect to happen? Them just go, oh well, we gave it a good shot. Even before the brand split took place, Charlotte was posting pictures of them all over Instagram. So even if somehow it had gone under the radar, well, you should have picked up on it. If I know, WWE should know. And boy howdy does it mean that they think keeping Charlotte on Tuesdays is a really important deal. They didn't shift her to Raw. They ensured that 4 people went the other way. And yeah, there was also some chat that maybe this tied into the Fox deal in October and that they would like a Hispanic star on the blue brand so they can push into that audience and into that market when these things do go down. But let's say that is true. You don't have to do that now. And you certainly don't have to screw up the Superstar shakeup for that. You could do that in September and it would have as much power. In fact, maybe it would have more power because you could tie it in 4 weeks out from the first ever SmackDown on Fox. They'd be like, oh wow, look at this amazing superstar we've got. You better tune in to see him. According to the Wrestling Observer too, this was done so that WWE doesn't look like the bad guy in public. I guess behind the scenes, they don't really care, but as soon as it did get out there into the Twitter sphere and the social media universe, they waved the magic wand and all of a sudden all the pieces fell back into place. Don't forget that, back into place. Basically, Aleister Black went to SmackDown. That's it. And I do understand their worry. With AEW getting more support day in, day out, you do not want to be the big bad wolf walking around getting shots taken at you on social media, whereas All Elite Wrestling is like the little train that could going up the hill as everybody heaps praise upon them. I know it's just social media, and a lot of that comes and goes quicker than, I don't know, a Zack Ryder push, but ultimately it still goes in people's head from a PR and perception point of view. You want to stay away from it. Also, that's a joke, Zack Ryder. I really like you, and you're the tag team champions right now. 2 thumbs. As we are going on about all this as well, Samoa Joe also arrived on Raw a couple of days ago, or depending on when you're watching this, a week after the Superstar shakeup. Now, that was nobody's fault. Samoa Joe got ill, he got sick, he had the flu, so he wasn't able to appear on that specific episode. But why? 1 week later, was he just walking out without a peep from the commentator? Someone could have said, oh wow, look, Samoa Joe, he got drafted as well, but he was sick last week. I think we got 1 little mention, and that was that. We just drew a line under it because we're done now. That was last week, can't worry about that, move forward. And all of that is because nobody really cares, not even WWE. Somebody can make the jump a week later, and most people just shrug their shoulders. I could probably turn up on Raw next week, and people would also once again go, well, I guess he was on one show, and now he just turned up here, even though I don't recognize him, and I'm not even employed by the company. We do now need to see what is going to happen going forward, and that's why I've got my eyes on The Miz. And I said we were going to come back to The Miz, because as of this moment, The Miz doesn't really have a feud with anyone. And also, when he was walking to the ring on Raw, he mentioned Shane McMahon. But I tell you, if somehow we segue back into the Miz-Shane McMahon feud, despite the brand split separating them, I may have to take my hands and rip off my ears, because that way I don't have to hear about it anymore. I'll also smash my head into a door, because that way I can focus on all this pain that's going on in my head region, and I guarantee you this, I'm going to be more concerned about that than anything WWE does with a bunch of rosters. I won't give 2 hoots then, couldn't care less. And again, I know, more fool me for buying in that hard, but I really thought, given that the post-WrestleMania Raw and SmackDown were a bit meh and a bit okay, that this was going to do something huge. And even if you think it did do something huge, all the hard work was undone days later. And again, it wasn't even because of a storyline thing. It wasn't like someone in writing room went, oh look, I've come up with this great idea, Vince, and he read it and he saw money signs in the distance. It was all to do with relationships that existed before we had the superstar shakeup. But what you gotta do, ultimately, you just gotta let it go through you, and you gotta forget about it, because if you don't, it's probably bad for your health. But yes, if you were wondering why Zelina Vega and Andrade and Aleister Black and Charlotte and whoever else were doing all of these things, you know now. And I do know there is some confusion out there, because people tweeted me, I saw some articles, some Reddit threads, and people go, I don't understand what happens, because not everybody is having this insider information put into their brain. So WWE, it would be nice if one, you'd explain yourself a bit better, and two, you put a bit more faith and a bit more importance within your superstar shakeup. Also, bring back the randomizer. You remember that went boom, and then a picture would come up on screen, and the fans would go, ah, and then we cut backstage, and the rest of them would go, ah, I've already done this on the why we did about the superstar shakeup, and yet nothing happened, and look, it all fell apart. I'm not saying I told you so. I'm not saying that at all, but clearly I am. People only say that I'm not doing this when they are going to do that, and they try and protect themselves. It makes no sense. But now you have the information. I hope that it helped. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about the superstar shakeup, and if we're actually going to put any credence in it for the next 12 months. Like, share, and subscribe. Head over to whatculture.com. There is loads of articles on there. Don't waste all your time. Follow What Culture on Twitter, What Culture WWE. And if you'd rather see and hear things as opposed to read, you keep it here on What Culture Wrestling. Take your finger of power and go on, click it. My name is Simon from What Culture. This was the Why series, and I always love to know what you think, even when you say, Simon, you're a bald idiot, and I'm gonna come and kick your ass. You can try, maybe I'll kick your ass. It's called a fight. You never know what's gonna happen, but I will say, if I was on Raw, I'd only pick fights with other Raw superstars, and if I was SmackDown, I'd do the same, because I believe in the brand split, and I will uphold its morals, and I will uphold its, I don't know, I can't think of the word. I'll uphold it, damn it, and I'll stick by it till the very end, till the day I die.